Yes, this is a big leadership responsibility. Why me? My experience has given me unique key strengths in personal high level customer service, building long term relationships, interpersonal communication, and active listening. As District 9 Director, I led our district using those key strengths, two presidents distinguished for the first time ever. I'm confident that those strengths will be beneficial on the board. Why now? I've watched the decline in membership growth and distinguished districts over the last several years, and it's given me great concern about our sustainability as an organization. Our present strategic plan ends in 2020, and I want to influence and support the next 5 year strategic plan with an even more effective Toastmaster program for our sustainable future. What do I see or think will happen in the next new strategic plan? In the next strategic plan, I think that we need to possibly build on pathways and expand pathways, offering more programs, possibly considering having more, allowing members to have more than just two programs that they can work at a time, similar to a university, which I believe Toastmasters as an education organization could offer more like a university. The other one is member onboarding and training, and that would be part of the leadership development. Right now, we're having trouble with leadership succession, and I think it stems from the fact that our members, when they join our organization, don't understand what they're actually required to do and need to do. The Toastmaster Promise that is on our membership application, I believe, is overlooked, and our Toastmaster Promise parallels the Distinguished Club program. In addition to that, if we were to just change the wording a little bit from serving as a club officer when asked to do so to serving as an officer when called upon to do so, that I believe would also help with our leadership succession. I think that that is something that definitely we need to be thinking about. What budget finances, how they would be different for the emerging versus mature markets, but I treat them the same. I believe in the budget itself, it would be something that I would want to take a look at and ask more questions about and see how the money is being spent right now. Yes, different markets require where the money is being put, but if it's in a general fund and how then to utilize it and filter it down, I think that it could mean that there is a difference in financial concerns. What are some of my leadership attributes? I bring awareness and consciousness, empathy, accountability, courage, and optimism. And I think that with me personally, an awareness and consciousness of how my leadership affects the entire team, the entire membership, those people around me, that's why role model leadership is a really good fit for me, because I am aware that I need to be a good role model, someone that people will want to emulate. Accountability, the buck stops with me. If I'm the last person that has to do it, then I will do it. And if there is a failure of some sort or miscommunication, I am the first one to step up and say it was my fault. Courage. This last year, I had to have a lot of courage of stepping into areas where I was not comfortable with stepping into and asking people I would have never thought to help, such as Pat Johnson and Gary Schmidt, Michael Notaro, to support our district in this cultural transformation that we did. And I am very optimistic, and I believe my energy, enthusiasm, charisma helps people with seeing a different way and having more optimism. Can you define the functions of the board and world headquarters? Please articulate the difference between the functions. Yes. The board creates policies and procedures. The world headquarters, they give the board the data and the resources necessary so the board can make good decisions to create policies and procedures. And once the board passes those policies and procedures, World Headquarters implements them to where it can filter into where it needs to go, whether it's the membership or it goes into the accounting. What strategic planning experience do you have? I have strategic planning in my business and when I was on the Chamber of Commerce and also as a District 9 director. Strategic planning means for me that you have a goal that you're trying to achieve, whether it's a net growth of a certain number or you want to, for example, with the Chamber of Commerce, you want more membership or you want your businesses to get more revenue. And in order to actually determine the strategic plan, I ask a lot of questions. I get a lot of information, not just from data, but also talking to people. And I would be talking with the board members, getting what their information was, and taking that into account. What do I consider are two major challenges that Toastmasters International will face in the future? There are two major challenges I feel that we are facing are external threats and internal weaknesses. Specifically with external threats, we have competition, global competition of other organizations, other programs that are trying to compete with what Toastmasters is doing. However, I believe because we are experiential, that makes us better than the others because you get that hands-on training in your skills of communication and leadership. The other challenge I see is with internal weakness of our leadership development, and that goes back to what I talked about earlier with onboarding and training our members from the very beginning. It's interesting, I took a look at our data and statistics in regards to why people are joining Toastmasters. Looking back, in 2010, we rebranded ourselves and added the tagline, "Where Leaders Are Made." And still, as of last year, over 76% of people are joining Toastmasters for communication skills. Only 34% are joining for leadership skills. And I think that we need to figure out a way to implement more training, and as I talked about earlier with the Toastmaster promise of having it laid out more clearly so people understand when they're joining Toastmasters. This experiential part of leadership means that you are an actual leader in our organization. And once they understand that there's that partnership there between the member and the organization, and they are nurtured and supported with that train of thought, our leadership succession, I believe, is going to improve, and we won't be like a house of cards ready to blow away at the next threat that we have. Where do I see Toastmasters in 10 years? Well, as I told you earlier, I'm an optimist, and we have over 7 billion people in this world. I believe every single one who's over the age of 18 needs Toastmasters to improve their communication and leadership skills. If we were to help train the members, excuse me, earlier, like I had suggested before, we have 352,000 members around the world. If every single one of them were going out and finding people like they promised they would with the Toastmaster promise, we would be a force that no other organization would be able to compete with. And in 10 years, we would be the leading organization in communication and leadership development. Board members do have a duty to protect the organization, and protecting the brand is near and dear to my heart. And the brand is that I believe, as I said earlier, we're an education organization and we're providing a program. The program is the Toastmaster program. It's not Jennifer Zerba's program or John Smith's program. It is Toastmaster program, and that we need to be following the program, which means that we need to be doing the Distinguished Club program, or better yet, what Pat Jansen calls it, which is our club strategic plan. And I think that once we're able to do that, then the protecting of the brand will evolve and come about naturally, and following Toastmaster International policies and procedures. In District 9, I actually heard a past district governor say we don't have Toastmaster police in District 9. And when you have people that are in that level of leadership who are saying there's no Toastmaster police, when they're the ones that are supposed to be protecting the brand and the policies and the procedures we have, I know that this is a larger problem, and we need to definitely talk more about it and train more about it. What additional streams of revenue would you recommend? Going back to what I had suggested before, is considering our organization as an educational organization. So if we are like a university or a college, then creating more programs for people to want to join and take part in, that would increase our merchandising portion for additional streams of revenue. And also then creating more marketing items to promote Toastmasters for us to purchase, whether it's a baseball hat or a tie. I think that we need to expand that portion of our store to where we have more items for us to market. In addition to that, and this is a whole separate niche, we do not market event supplies. And if we're a professional organization and we are at a vendor fair, for example, what do we have that is going to help Toastmasters stand out and look like the professional organization we're trying to sell? It is extremely limited. I purchased for our district what we had available for banners, tabletop banners for those types of events, so that way our members and clubs could check them out for when they needed them for events. I think that that needs to be expanded upon, and a separate area at convention to display these items so our districts can be better prepared to represent what it is we're trying to sell. The other part is in the conventions, and I mentioned that just a little bit earlier, but our conventions definitely have an opportunity to make a whole lot more money than we're making right now, buffering with massive amounts of sponsorships. If the story goes that Pat Johnson tells of a corporate organization able to come up with $100,000 to pay for our program for their employees, then those organizations should be large sponsors for our conventions, and having much more vendor booths at them, including a photographer that does headshots. Again, if we're a professional organization, we want our members to look professional, especially the district trios. Having someone who's able to do that would be wonderful. What is the most important leadership quality of your way of thinking? I am more of a situational leader, and that quality means that I'm able to use transformational leadership, role model leadership, servant leadership, depending upon what is needed at the time. And especially with District 9, transformational leadership was the biggest challenge that I needed to overcome with our district, is their culture, and we needed transformational leadership and a team of people who are on board with that. Servant leadership is also something that District 9 needed, and I actually had the Stand By You tour where we went and visited as many clubs. We visited over 80% of our clubs, and the whole purpose of the club was to get to know the members as people, as members, finding out who they are, what they're about. And that type of networking and learning about your members serves so many different facets in the district. You learn who the up and coming leaders are, training your area directors side by side with you. When the trio went to go visit our clubs, we had our area directors there, or in some cases, area directors and the division director with us, and helping show how this is actually done at a different level really showed our members that the district cared about them. And I had heard for so long that the district doesn't care about us. Well, they care about you, but until the member sees the actual person there, you don't really know that they care about you. And we fixed that last year. We definitely made sure that our members understood that we cared about them. Our attendance for events grew and grew and grew over the last couple of years because we were showing that the district cared. What do you see as the future for online clubs? Will we have virtual or online districts? I am a member of a partial virtual club, the Faculty Club. The Faculty Club in District 9 was one of the other advanced clubs. We only have 2, and it would travel the district. The mission of the club was to train trainers. And over the last couple of years, we've been having a little bit more challenge with people wanting to travel, and we're trying to reinvent ourselves. And part of that is having more virtual meetings to where there are some people at a location, and then we zoom out to others that are not able to make it. I am in favor of doing that, not making it the norm. I do think that there is a place for online meetings and teaching our members that facet of online meetings and protocol and how that differs from an actual physical meeting. I think is something that maybe we need to make manuals for or a pathways level for. I do know that in our future with the millennials and the Gen Zs coming up, that they are more in tune with your technology. However, my daughter, Gabrielle, who is now 25, who has been coming to Toastmasters for many years, she will tell you that in the interview process, she nails it every time because she has got the Toastmaster skills. And by that, those qualities, I think that helps that millennial or that individual get that job more so than another person who's not able to answer questions very well. And I think that running meetings, there's a lot of places that physically our millennials, even though they fight us on it, they need to learn how to do so that way they can get the job, so they can make more money. Do I have anything to add? So Patty, I'm going to actually have you, because I don't know if this is the part where I should talk about some things that I had put in my candidate assessment in regards to the deck voting Christine Meyer Program Quality Director out. Also, I know that this is a spot that if I didn't quite like how I had answered a question previously, I can elaborate on it. I believe that I did fine with how I spoke before until, of course, I hear from you, and we'll go from there. And so I'm going to move on to my closing statement. Fellow Toastmasters, my leadership ability to transform culture through unique key strengths has shown to exceed expectations and goals in organizations that I have belonged to. being an advocate and serving our members so they can have more opportunities to grow their leadership and communication skills will secure our sustainable future. I believe this sustainability will impact our world by changing humanity one member at a time. Thank you.